Got questions about spiritual life, relationships, inner peace, or navigating everyday challenges with grace? Welcome to Ask A Swami, a Q&A series where you ask and Swamis from Yasodhara Ashram share their insights and experiences. In this episode, I speak with Swami Jyotihananda about ashram life and her hopes for the future. Hello, Swami Jyotihananda, and welcome to Ask A Swami.
Hi, Katie. I'm glad to be here with you. I haven't seen you in a long time, and I'm actually looking at you.
Yeah, that's pretty special, hey, to be in person recording this. It's a pleasure. Well, let's start right away with our first question. Someone asks, Dear Swami, what does it mean to live in an ashram? What is the best part about being at the ashram?
What does it mean to live in an ashram? Well, I think the first question is maybe, what is an ashram, or why is an ashram? And an ashram is a very unique entity. And ashrams are established by a teacher. And the purpose is to honor the Most High, to honor God, to honor the divine, however we understand that mysterious force. And then people gather around that person, that teacher, who has some knowledge to offer. So it's very different from a retreat center, which invites many, many different people, many, many different ideas to be explored and expressed. So here we have a teaching and what we call a lineage, and that means this teaching has passed through time and has been tested by time, which is a very interesting idea. And what does it mean to me to live at an ashram? First of all, my teacher is Swami Radha. I was so blessed to have known her in her lifetime. She was a brilliant woman, really a genius, I think, spiritually. And she was also eminently practical. So she had these two qualities that she brought to the ashram and to us. And she inspired me. I'm here because of her. And what's interesting, though, to me, is that when I first came to the ashram to take courses, and I didn't live here then, I was very, very engaged by what I was learning. It made sense to me. And I was invited to take the tools or the practices that were presented and try them out. It wasn't presented to me as the word. It was presented to me as, well, this is an experiment you can make with your own life. And I did that. And as I worked particularly with a practice called the Divine Light Invocation, I became more and more involved and touched by what I was receiving. And so I came closer, and Swami Radha often used an analogy of circles. And the teacher is in the center, and there's many circles, and people can keep moving closer. But there's a certain amount of sacrifice involved in living in an ashram. Like, if you enjoy partying and drinking, which I did at one point in my life, then I gradually began to move away from those kind of lifestyles, and I wanted to deepen my understanding of the teachings and the work that was happening here. And eventually I came to live at the ashram about 30 years ago, and I had been involved for, at least 15 years before that, teaching out in the world. Living here is coming close to the center. At the beginning, the center was Swami Radha. I loved her, I admired her, and she presented to me a way of living life that was totally remarkable. And I wanted that. And so I was drawn to that in her, and I was drawn to the teachings that she passed on. And they were passed on here at the ashram in a very literal way. And we call ourselves here a Karma Yoga ashram. Karma Yoga means a life of service, basically. And you find that in all spiritual paths. The idea of service, the idea of doing quote-unquote work to benefit others, not for ourselves. Karma Yoga really encourages me and all of us in doing it. We're supporting a higher ideal in ourselves. We're wanting to give back to life. That was one of Swami Radha's constant sayings, give back to life. And especially in Canada right now, we are so privileged, we are so fortunate, we have so much to be grateful for. And any way that we can give back is really worthwhile. And that's one of the reasons for me. And I was going to say a little bit earlier, when I first started coming to the ashram, Swami Radha was in those days doing a lot of traveling. She traveled all around North America, going to little churches and going to halls, talking about her teachings and giving the practices to people. And so the people that were here were her students. And what they gave me was meaningful to me. And I met her later, and I was grateful for the way that happened for me, because I deeply trusted the teachings. And then when I met her, I understood why they were so trustworthy, because she really embodied everything that she taught. She didn't say one thing and do another. She also kept her promises. And commitment is a very important aspect of living at an ashram. People come and they make a commitment to stay for a period of time at the beginning. And that commitment holds you. That commitment gives you a strength when difficulties come up. Because, of course, when you're living in a community, you're not alone. You're living with other people, and we rub up against each other. And so we have to find ways of being together and honoring the reason that we're all here in the first place, which is reaching for something higher, reaching for a higher goal, wanting to bring out the best in ourselves and in others. And so that's a constant dance. It's not like you live here for 10 years and suddenly, well, you can do it. We're all human. We're all very human. And so we're dealing all the time with our humanness. And where else would you have the opportunity to do that? Gosh, it's like, yes, we've made a commitment, but we've made a commitment to do this kind of work where we rub up against each other and are honest as we can be, and face things. That's a tremendous opportunity. And I would invite anybody to come to the ashram and find what that's about, because it's exciting and it's challenging and it's demanding. And in doing that, we connect with a part of ourselves that sometimes we don't even know is there. That was how I felt about Swami Radha. I felt that she saw something in me that I didn't know was there. It was like she recognized this part of me and cared about me, even when I didn't care about myself. And that allowed me to open to the idea that I could be more than I thought I was. And that's really the main teaching at the ashram. You can be more than you think you are. You can enter into that wise part and know that part. Not every day. I mean, you're just going to run into yourself lots of times. But the more you focus on entering the door that'll lead you to that wisdom, that inner wisdom, the more it becomes available to you as intuition and creativity. And speaking of creativity, this ashram is part of an order. Just as in Buddhism and Catholicism, there are orders of the way people approach the center. Our ashram is part of the Saraswati order. And it's so cool because Saraswati is the goddess of art and wisdom and literature and dance and music, you name it. It's all that creative, really a feminine force that we need so much right now in the world. And I see it happening. I see it happening in myself, and I see it happening in others when they come. It's like they start to recognize that there's this part of themselves that's so rich and so available if they turn to it. I think I have actually put the two questions together, because the next part of the question, what's the best part of being in the ashram?
All of that. All of it.
All of it.
All the learning, the inspiration, and really what I'm hearing from you about what is an ashram is there's a teacher and there's the students who are eager to learn. And from that, there's practices that are important. Like you mentioned, the divine light invocation, which is such a central practice here at Yasodhara Ashram. And there's so many other practices like reflection and sacred dance and hidden language, hatha yoga, all these ways and all these paths towards finding peace within ourselves. And I think it's really amazing to have this community of people who are so dedicated to their personal development and their growth and towards living in harmony as a community. And of course, that's not always the case. There's things that come up, like you said, you're human, and there's a lot to the human experience. But I think that promise of growth that exists at the ashram is so apparent and so important and so valuable, because it allows everyone and anybody who comes here to have an opportunity to learn, to grow, and in some ways to move beyond what they already know.
I would say not in some way, unless they truly resist the idea of becoming more. And, change is a little scary. Like, it's not like, wow, I'm going to change. Well, it's challenging, and yet the rewards are really so precious. And I'd like to say something about what you said about community altogether, because all of us swamis, we're elders. There's one man right now, and the rest of us are women. So it's a bunch of crones and one man. And we've all known Swami Radha, so we have that to pass on, and that's what we're really engaged in right now. We're thinking seriously about succession and what might come next. And a few years ago, Swami Jyotihananda, who is now the president of the ashram and the spiritual director, I'm waving my hands around in the air, she began calling on the younger group of people who are from 55 down. Katie, you're what, 25?
26. Yeah.
26, yeah. So that younger group has been invited to step in and engage in a process of what is now being called co-stewardship. So how can the ashram evolve? How can it be a smooth transition as we disappear, as our time is up? And it's not like we're all thinking, oh my God, time to go. That's not how it is. Like, we're very much engaged and also evolving, learning to step back from the responsibilities we've had of management and looking after certain tasks, and inviting people in, inviting the younger people in. It's a transition time, so it's fluid, and there's no firm picture. It's just that we know that we're all going forward, seeking to keep the teachings, the ashram, alive in a form that works for the next 10 years. So it's not like we're static here. With each person, with Swami Radha, and then Swami Radhananda, who was the next spiritual leader, and now Swami Jyotihananda, they've brought forth a vision. It's not like they changed the teachings, but the structure moves. And it allows the ashram to evolve according to the times so that we can be responsive to what's happening now. So when Swami Radha started the ashram back in the 60s, she was responding to a lot of kids who were coming here taking drugs. And that was an element that she was dealing with and helping people to understand why they were so involved with drugs. And I mean, that was only one part of it, but it was also a back to the land time. It was a different time. Right now, we're in a very, very different time. And when people come to the ashram, they're coming for refuge, they're coming for solace, they're coming to be held in a community that's existed for 63, 64 years coming up. And they're held by the vibration of hundreds and hundreds of people who have done spiritual practice here. And that creates. And so the ashram, it's a physical place. It's absolutely beautiful. And we rest on the unceded lands of the Tanaha and the Sinaiaks peoples, who were the original indigenous people that lived and fished and hunted on the lake. This is a gift to us, and we're always grateful. And then what we're doing here at the ashram is caring. We're caregivers of the land. And you can particularly see that when you go to our garden and see what's happening there. And you can see it when you walk through the trails, and you can see it when you go up into the woods, how we're clearing the trees so that it'll be safer if there's fire. So there's a commitment to express our gratitude for this, that we're here in caring for the land. It's one part of what the ashram is. But in some ways, the ashram itself is an entity. It's a force in and of itself. And people feel that when they come in. They feel the safety, they feel the peace, they feel that there's something happening here that's different. And they might not know what it is, but it has an effect.
Well, and that feels really important. Like you mentioned, the teachings being at the center of this community and this ashram, like this place, it's not just any community, but a community that's grounded in a specific lineage, in specific teachings that have been passed down from Swami Jyotihananda to Swami Radha to all of us. And I mean, of course, you and I are like generations apart, and yet we've had this opportunity to meet here and to be here together. And so, of course, like your experiences are so much more like full than mine. Like I've only been connected to this community for 5-6 years. And yet, to me as well, it feels like the teachings must continue. And that, from my perspective, is really like the center of this community, and that without it, it wouldn't be the ashram that it is. And so in what ways do you think we can work towards that from your perspective of seeing so many different shifts in the ashram's life, from when Swami Radha was here to Swami Radhananda to Swami Lalitananda? What do you think it'll take for the teachings to continue to be at the center and for the younger generation to hold that with integrity?
I think you just explained it, because what you said as part of the younger group, you talked about how the teachings or the lineage or what you've gained here has touched you and the importance of it to you for carrying on. That is key. We just had our annual general meeting at the beginning of June, and everybody gave presentations about what happens at the ashram in various sections. And Sarah Torrey, who is part of the co-stewardship group, gave a talk about what's happening. What's happening with the co-stewardship group right now is it's becoming a little bit more cohesive. And there's a lot of younger people who are out in the world, living their life, married, having children, and yet their hearts are connected to the ashram. And suddenly, there's a circle that they can step into that makes them part of the ashram. And so, in a way, this is exactly what Swami Radha did. It's exactly what Swami Radhananda did, but it's a different form. So Swami Radha, at a certain point, she's realized that her teacher, Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh, said, go out and start an ashram. And then once you've done that, start centers. And she was towards the end of her life, and she thought, I have to do this, I have to do this. And so she began starting centers, mainly all over Canada, but there's some in the United States and one in England. And the centers were in people's homes, because when she traveled all around North America, putting the ashram on the map, she went to people's homes. So that's what she knew worked. People would come to a home, she'd offer a workshop, and go on. So I was in the first Radha Center, and I was there for 10 years, and people came, and it was a wonderful experience. Now, when Swami Radhananda stepped in after Swami Radha died, she established something called the Residents of the Work. And all of the people who were teaching then out in the world suddenly became a resident of the ashram. They were not living at the ashram, but they were a resident. They were important. They were seen as valuable people who had a lot to contribute. So, and now what Swami Jyotihananda is doing, she's creating another circle for people to come into that speak to this time. It speaks to the time where all of us are growing older, and there's a huge body of younger people out there who have done the YDC, the Yoga Development Course, our 3-month course, who are connected to the teachings. Some of them have been initiated into mantras, and who love the ashram and who particularly love the work and want to help. And at this point, we're still unclear what the help is going to look like, except what comes forth, and what's coming forth is just this incredible sincerity that makes me trust what's going to happen in the future and makes me feel very happy and full of gratitude.
Wow. Well, it makes me very happy and full of gratitude as well to have had this conversation with you and to hear a bit about your experience about living at the ashram, what it means to live in an ashram, and also your deepest hopes and your vision for the future. So thank you so much, Swami Jyotihananda, for having this conversation with me. It's been a real pleasure.
It's really been a delight, Katie. And actually, it's not my hope, it's our hope. And I just feel so positive in a time when it's a challenge to feel positive. And we're doing good work here.
Thank you, and namaste.
Namaste.
Yasodhara Ashram is located in British Columbia on the unceded traditional territory of the Ktunaxa and Sinixt peoples. If you have questions that need answers, you can submit them to the form link in the description. You can learn more about the ashram and Swami Shivananda Radha's teachings by visiting our website at yasodhara.org.